It's about time. We have a great article here from Mike Dano over at Light Reading. I will leave it in the description down below so you guys could check it out in its entirety. Now, a lot of you are going to be confused by this. T-Mobile, our 5G network is open for wholesale business. Now, recently, over the last few months, we've seen, and backtracking to last year as well, we've seen T-Mobile pivot away from wholesale. They lost agreements competitively. And based on the amount of capacity that T-Mobile had on air already, even backtracking to the end of last year, that should have not been the case. There is no way on planet Earth that T-Mobile should have gotten underbid by Verizon. So there was a wholesale deal that T-Mobile was fighting with against Cox, that they said since Cox had a tentative agreement with Sprint that they were supposed to uphold that agreement and remain using T-Mobile. But Cox became smart and they started shopping around and they noticed, hey, wait a minute, Verizon is coming in $100 million less than you. And that shouldn't have never been the case. No way, no how T-Mobile should be more expensive than Verizon in the wholesale market. There's no way. As it stands today, still, T-Mobile cannot charge a premium versus Verizon. They don't have the network size as it stands today. They just don't. But they did it anyway. So they kind of chased Cox away, and Cox won the agreement in court, and now they're going to likely start up services with Verizon. And that was also seemed to have been an issue with Dish, although they have now renegotiated and it's still awaiting approval at the DOJ. But once that gets approved, it seems like T-Mobile is getting more and more and more favorable for wholesale agreements. So there's a very interesting points in this article. So like I said, I'll leave it in the description so you guys could check it out. So T-Mobile now is stating during the big 5G event that their priority is growth. Why they said that, why that all of a sudden had to become a statement, I don't know. That company, T-Mobile, they have been nothing but a growth story throughout this entire last decade. That is how they became the company they are today. They are a share taker. They are positioned for growth. For example, Verizon is not positioned so much for growth anymore. They are more favorable towards profits. So the low margin customer that no longer wants to pay the amount for what it costs to be on Verizon as a premium customer, Verizon is okay with letting them go. They are pretty much saying, here, T-Mobile, you can have that customer. So that's kind of how Verizon is positioned. Verizon is positioned for high ARPU, high ARPA, high profits. That's how Verizon is positioned today in the market. T-Mobile, they're going the opposite. They're doing price locks. They're lowering prices for customers in some cases. They're adding in insider discounts. They're adding in free lines. So they are positioned as the cheaper carrier. So that should also translate into the wholesale business. In order for T-Mobile to grow the wholesale business, they're going to have to come in cheaper than Verizon and AT&T, which are their competitors as it stands now on a facility-based network basis. Dish will eventually come in and compete in that space too as they gain scale on the network. If they do, we'll see, remains to be seen, but they'll eventually compete there too. But that's how T-Mobile is going to expand their additional revenue and intake. And that also means they will likely also go to companies like Comcast, Spectrum, and say, hey, how's that deal working out with Verizon now that there's more traffic on the network? Are you paying more? Can we come in? Can we maybe split that traffic? Because if you look at cable right now, the way they're positioned, they're looking at offloading. So they're looking to build out a somewhat of a private network, CBRS, in some of the urban cores just to offload customers and the traffic off of the Verizon network, so Verizon doesn't charge them any more than they already are. So T-Mobile may be able to come in and say, hey, look, we can save you the cost from building out. Just unload half of your traffic onto us and we'll charge you less. Just for example, right? That's just an example. That's probably a headache if you think about it. Having to go through that customer base, putting them on a T-Mobile SIM, probably a headache. And then, are those devices compatible with the T-Mobile network? So that's probably a headache. But this is just an example of how T-Mobile could approach this in the future. But good to see that the T-Mobile 5G network is now open for business for the wholesale market. I always felt like T-Mobile wanted to get through larger parts of the integration, likely get the Sprint base moved over, get most of the tower work done, because some of that tower work did cause interruption. So you didn't want to have a business customer on your line and you convert them over and then they have problems on the network because you're doing upgrades. So that's something that T-Mobile likely wanted to get through first on to a higher percentage before they approached the wholesale market, and of course grow the network as well. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.